Doug here with AK Sled Shed. Welcome back to the channel. I would like to talk to you guys today a little bit about glacier travel on snow machines. When I'm out in the mountains traveling around down Valdez and out in Eureka Lodge, places like that, I travel a lot on glaciers. And over the years I've noticed a lot more people out there traveling on glaciers, and most of them I see don't really have the kind of gear that you should have when you're out on glaciers traveling. It's a lot like going into avalanche terrain. You want to make sure you have the basics when you're out there. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and talk a little bit about safety. There's really no traveling protocol for snow machines on glaciers like there is for mountaineering or skiing. There you're roped up with partners and you have techniques so if one person goes in, the others can stop their fall from dropping into a crevasse deep. On a snow machine, you don't really have that kind of a protocol available to you. So it's a high risk activity when you're out there on glaciers, and you really have to take that in consideration. You really should get some training on gear and equipment and rescue, and know how to rescue somebody if you do get in a bad situation out there. So it's really important that you've got that gear, and today I'd like to go through that stuff with you a little bit and tell you what I carry when I'm out there. When you're traveling on glaciers, you really should be wearing a harness like I've got on. It's a regular mountaineering climbing type harness. There's lots of them out there, a lot of really good ones that you can have, but you really should be wearing a harness, because if you do go in a crevasse, then somebody can rescue you way more easily by just throwing a rope down. You can clip in and be able to get out of the crevasse. So you'll notice on my harness here that I have a few things attached to it. You really want to have an ascending device with you so that if you fall into a crevasse, somebody can drop down a rope to you. You can clip into that rope and climb out yourself. You also want to have equipment on you so you can descend a rope quickly. If you do have a partner that goes into a crevasse, you want to be able to deploy a rope and rappel down into that crevasse in less than 2 minutes. So I've got this bag on the back of my machine that has my response equipment in it. It has my rope. I've got 120 feet of 8mm rope in here that I can use to quickly set up an anchor on my bumper and rappel down in to help somebody out. A lot of times if someone falls into a crevasse, they could be injured. They could be in a situation where their chest is compressed between the ice because it tends to narrow down. They could really be in a serious situation, or even completely covered by snow that might fall in on top of them. So you really have to be able to respond quickly in case somebody's down in there injured and they can't help themselves get out of the situation. So having that equipment quick, easily accessible is really important. So I've got it in a dry bag here on the back of my machine. I can quickly undo my ratchet strap and pull this bag off of my machine. I can open it up and quickly deploy it out onto the ground. And then here you can see I've got my bag that I would use to attach to my bumper. And then also in here, I've got my pulleys, extra carabiners, extra prusik loops, and then a lot of webbing straps that you can use for anchors. And most of the time, you don't use this stuff for a crevasse rescue, but I use it a lot for retrieving machines out of creeks or rivers or whatever. It really comes in handy for that as well, because you can set up a mechanical advantage system with this. I can easily set up a 9-to-1 mechanical advantage and pull a machine out of a bad situation pretty quick and easy. So it comes in handy for a lot of stuff, and like I say, very seldom do I ever use this for a crevasse rescue. So this is a bag of 120 feet of 8mm static rope. So that means it doesn't stretch. There's a tiny bit of stretch in it, but not a lot. So it's called static rope. And I've got this set up with a knot in the end, so I can pull the knot out of the bag, and I can take this bag and throw it, and it deploys really easily. That really comes in handy if you were ever in a rescue situation on a glacier, or if you're in a rescue situation where somebody might go into open water, you know, off of a lake or in a river or something like that. You can deploy this like a throw bag, like a whitewater throw bag. Hang on to the knot, throw the bag past that person. You want to throw it well past them so then they can reach out and just grab the rope, and you can pull them back to safety. So it really comes in handy in case you were ever in that kind of a situation. So for an ascending device, I've got for my waist attached to my harness would be this device with a piece of webbing between two carabiners. I clip one to my harness, and then I put the ascending device on the rope that I'm going to climb, attached to the other carabiner. For my foot strap, I have a piece of sewn webbing and also ascending device and a carabiner. And these little ascending devices are called a rope man. And then for pulleys, I've got a Petzl double pulley, a couple of single pulleys, actually 3 different single pulleys, an assortment of at least 6 carabiners, locking and non-locking, and then I've got about 4 prusiks that are really handy for setting up a brake, setting up your mechanical advantage systems. You're going to need some prusik loops to set that system up and use it efficiently. For webbing straps, I've got one that's really long. It's about a 6-footer tied up, and that could be used if you have an injured person in a crevasse that doesn't have a harness on. You can set that up as a quick, hasty harness around somebody and pull them out of a crevasse by clipping into it, and use a mechanical advantage system to pull them up out of a crevasse. Then some other assorted webbing straps, some 4-footers and some 2-footers, or some 3-footers and some 2-footers, but just a variety of different lengths come in handy for setting up your anchors. And then this stuff packs pretty easily into a small dry bag that ends up being a little over a foot long. And what I like to do is put my webbing straps in the bottom of the dry bag first, and then I put my pulleys and carabiners in next, and then my rope on top of that. Stuff it all in there really nice and tight as you add each layer in, and then it doesn't bounce around and cause too much trouble as far as putting holes in your dry bag. But you can see a couple of patches on my dry bag, so it does happen on occasion. But it's a good way to pack it in there, and it's a fairly lightweight rescue system that will get you out of all kinds of trouble in the backcountry. In Alaska, we've had a lot of people riding on glaciers that have fallen into crevasses and lost their lives. It's a very serious activity, and you don't want to take it lightly. You really want to make sure that you have the proper training before you go out there, and you've got the proper gear. It's just like going into avalanche terrain with beacon, probe, shovel. Those are the things you've got to have every time you go out there. When you go out on a glacier, you really should be wearing that harness, have ascending device equipment attached to that descending device on there, and then have your rescue bag that you attach to your machine, and you have it handy anytime you're traveling on glaciers. So be safe out there. Have a great winter. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.